Welcome to another Drew Crew ride. Actually, this is my second one. Hey, cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. Based on what I saw the first week, I had a basic idea of where the sprint points were, but there were still a couple of nuances that I wasn't familiar with yet. We had a good-sized group show up tonight, about 15 people. Their abilities ranged from recreational to, I wish I could ride like him. I jumped ahead a bit because things are going to light up soon. That rider in front of me in the yellow, that's my teammate Dave. I've just been hugging his wheel. Off my rear camera, you see there's an attack that's coming on right now, and it'll appear on my left. We are on a small descent. I'm not going to jump. Dave's not jumping. We're looking for those in front of us to take up the slack. It's still pretty warm out there. That's one reason I'm not jumping. And it's, I think the forecast was 104 degrees, and I don't think it got above 101. And I certainly don't want to get overcooked leading into the crunch time portion of this ride, which is going to be about a 130-degree turn to the right, and then we start going up. As you can see, there's a sizable gap to the two leaders. Dave's waiting for that guy in front of us to pull us up. I'm also waiting for that guy to pull us up. I don't want to take any extra effort right now. I think we're going to be able to catch them. Those two guys in front are pretty strong, but they're catchable. Still on the descent, there are 4 of us in our group, and there's a gap to some riders in back of us that are starting to come up. There's a guy on the left who looks like he's putting in an attack, but when he gets to the bottom, looks like he changes his mind. Now the rider in front is pulled off, and now Dave is taking the lead, and he's not only taking the lead, he is drilling it. Look at my wattage in the upper left-hand corner. I was doing over 600 watts, now I'm doing over 500 watts to stay on his wheel. I'm on his wheel, and I'm doing over 500 watts. And I'm thinking to myself, God bless you, Dave, but I don't know if I could do what you're doing right now. This is impressive. He's burning a lot of matches, but this is impressive. This was the longest 22 seconds that I can think of that I experienced recently. We are now down to a group of 6. Dave is trying to recover. I am trying to recover, but not as much as Dave is trying to recover. In about half a mile, maybe half a kilometer, we're going to be hitting that climb. So let's jump to it. It's a little over a minute later, which at our speeds puts it about half a mile, so I was right about that. We take the turn, and Dave has gotten his legs back. I've gotten my legs back, but Dave's made a good turn there, and I went a little wide. This is the critical point, and everyone's obviously gunning it. I'm doing over 700 watts to get up to whoever's going to be in the lead. Dave is starting to die off a bit because of all the bananas he spent on that huge chase that we had a little while ago. On my wheel is Jimmy. Jimmy's one of those strong riders that I wish I could be as strong as. And those 2 up in the front, they're probably in that same category too. Jimmy's not shooting past me because I'm doing over 400 watts at the moment. Now it's about over 300, and now I'm starting to slow, and at least I'm maintaining a good enough speed where he's not wanting to jump me. My goal now is to maintain a sufficient amount of speed such that Jimmy won't jump me. And if I can do that till I get to the flats, I'll have a chance to get on his wheel, but he attacks at this point, probably because I'm going too slow. And I'm still maintaining speed, but he's maintaining a faster speed, obviously. So there may be a chance that I can catch him, but this guy's pretty strong. Regardless, I'm not here to ride easy, so I'm going to do what I can. And I am now above 300 watts, and I'm chasing. This is still kind of like a false flat type of grade, and if I can get to him before it flattens out, and assuming he's going to really take off at that point, that'll be my best chance to stay with him. We are now about 2 kilometers from the sprint point. When I got to his wheel, I just stayed on his wheel because that took a lot of gas out of me. We're about to head into about a 1% grade. Jimmy takes a look back at me and he says, okay, now I'm going to drop this guy, and then he proceeds to drop me. If I wasn't so hypoxic, I'd really be impressed. Well, as it turned out, I kept looking behind me. There was no one coming up, and I got to the sprint point, so I guess I took 4th place. After a quick regroup at the parking lot, we're off for the second half. Wilsox Alex comes from the back and puts in an attack. The rider in the front, who had been pulling, pulls off and goes to the back, and this leaves a sizable gap at the speed that we're going. The rider that now is leading our pack hunkers down and just goes after Wilsox Alex. Now we call him Wilsox Alex because we have a number of Alexes in the group, and he wears wool socks. It's all in the name. Kind of like the Cycling Greek. At this point, I'm going to speed things up because I can't think of that many things to say as filler. The rider in front actually pulled us up to Alex, and now we're going even a little faster. I'm riding 4th in this line, and right in front of me, you recognize, is my teammate Dave. The rest of the pack is lined out behind me. As we approach the left curve, the road starts to slightly increase in grade, and the farther you go along, the more the grade increases. The challenge for me is that when I'm putting out this many watts, when the grade is this low and the grade increases, then I could redline, and the grade is about to increase. What increases that challenge for me is that Dave has reached his limit, and now I have a gap to fill. And I gotta say that I'm pretty surprised that I filled it. But now things are starting to get steeper. Just up ahead, the road slightly curves to the right, then it turns to the left where the bridge is, and that's the sprint point. Surprised I'm still here, I'm now thinking about what I can do to beat these guys. Good time for me to start to sprint. This is a slow sprint. I'm surprised I'm even going this fast. I barely make it up to Woolsock's Alex. He sees me, and then he just starts to take off. Now, Hypoxic, I'm trying to get to the finish before those in back of me do. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.